Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight in what's now becoming our every other Monday parent forum on YouTube or family forum on YouTube. We'd like to, sorry about that, had to turn my speaker off. We want to just go over some information tonight, and then we will open up for questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat section over on the right-hand side, and we will get started. First thing I want to talk about tonight, and also I have Miss Doomers here with us tonight. As many of you know Miss Doomers as our K-12 guru, I guess. She has spent a lot of time on the phone with the folks at K-12 and making sure that we're trying to resolve whatever issues come up and concerns. So Ms. Doomers has joined us again tonight. Just want to go over a couple of things real quick before we start with questions. First thing is we have midterm grades coming up. They were supposed to be this week. We've actually pushed them back a week to because of the issues we had at the beginning of the school year. And in reality, we continue to have some issues, but on a far less scale than we had at the beginning of the school year. But we recognize that, and we have pushed those back a week. Teachers will enter the midterm grades into Skyward between October 20th and the 24th, I believe, on the Friday, or 23rd, maybe on the Friday. So next week, between Tuesday and Friday. The one thing I want to tell parents about midterm grades is I think it's important that we issue midterm grades so that students get a gauge of where they're at. We understand, though, that this has been challenging, to say the least, for many of our students and families. We are going to, the thing about midterm grades also is that they are not recorded on a transcript. They don't go on anything official. So they basically are to give a barometer of where students are at the midway point of the trimester. We do understand, as I said, though, with the concern, with all the issues at the beginning, we are going to issue incompletes in some cases for students that have been trying. We know that they've had issues. They're doing their best to get on. And then teachers will be contacting those students and making arrangements for the student to make up whatever work is necessary so they can earn a passing grade. So I don't want students and families and parents to get discouraged if they see a midterm grade that isn't what they want it to be. We are going to work, as we've said all along, we are going to work with families. We are going to, our teachers and our staff are going to make every effort we can to make sure our students are as successful as possible. So again, when looking at grades, always refer to Skyward for grades. Grades in K-12 will not be accurate because of some of the recording issues. So when you are looking at grades, make sure you refer to Skyward for official grades. Next thing I want to talk about is attendance. As we communicated at the beginning of the year, OSPI, the state education organization, gave schools until October 5th to put in place a policy for attendance while students were online. It looks different than when we're in school. Up until October 5th, we were only recording, we were having our advisory teachers record attendance for their students, and we were only requiring students to log into K-12. As of October 5th, we are requiring, the state is requiring schools to take attendance in every period, every day that learning is scheduled. So as we stand now, students have 5 classes every day. They need to log into those 5 classes every day. They have in reality, they have from midnight until 11:59 p.m. that night. So technically, a student could have logged in at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, earlier today, and they have until 11:59 tonight to log in and do their work in each of their classes. The next morning, so tomorrow morning, our students will receive a report from K-12 that lists each teacher and then each of their classes and then each of their students that logged in for that class. Teachers will have until 11 a.m. tomorrow to record attendance for today. So the robocall for today's attendance will go out tomorrow at noon. So if you receive a robocall tomorrow, sometime at noon or thereafter, that means that your student was marked absent in classes today. So because OSPI is allowing students until 11:59 p.m. each night to log in, we can't accurately take attendance until the next morning. So, but please understand though that we are not recording attendance to penalize or to punish anybody. We're recording attendance so that we know who we need to contact and who we need to be connected to help them be more successful in their classes. So that is the purpose of the reason we are taking attendance. We're not taking attendance again to punish anybody or to penalize anybody in class. So just remember that students need to log into each of their classes. So logging into K-12 is not logging into the class. They have to go into each class and log into each class that they have on that day. One question had come up earlier from a parent today asking me, well, what if the student completes all their work for that week on Wednesday? And so Thursday and Friday, they don't really have anything to work on. They've completed it all. They still need to go in and log into the class and show that they've logged into that class. Now, once they log in, they don't have any work to do. They can leave the class unless there's a required connect session. But students are required to log into each of their classes every day at some point before 11:59 p.m. If you receive a robocall, please contact the office here, and the attendance clerk will take care of the absence. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you have with regards to attendance. Another area that I want to remind students and families is that I hear your calls to make sure that things are consistent among classes. And trust me, we're doing the best we can, and I'm doing the best I can to try to put in place protocols and practices and procedures so that classes are as consistent as possible. The one thing that we've gotten down to a consistent basis among classes is where students can find what they have to work on in the class. It's imperative that students are reading their announcements every day in each of their classes. So on the homepage of the class, again, not the homepage of K-12, but the homepage of each class, the teachers are listing in their announcements each day and what the students need to work on. Ms. Dumers, do you want to expound on that and talk a little more about that?
Sure. It is really important, and that's one of the reasons also if you finish all your work on, let's say, Wednesday, it's another reason that you want to go in and check on Thursday and Friday, because you really want to make sure that you're up to date on any announcements that the teacher puts out. There's two places on the homepage that teachers can put announcements, but they're both right there on the homepage when the student logs in. So the first one is on the right-hand side, where it'll be Class Connect on top if there's any Class Connect sessions that the teacher has scheduled. And then underneath it are regular announcements. Some teachers have opted to put announcements in their calendar, and that calendar is on the left-hand side of their screen, and it will basically show right up there. There's a little arrow thing, and if you don't have the arrow clicked, it kind of collapses it, or it can expand it. So students just really want to make sure that they expand their calendar. And that's true for assignments as well, not just announcements, but assignments that they need to be aware of as well will show up on that calendar.
Thanks. So again, it's just really imperative that the students read that announcement or go to the calendar each day to look at the classes. The other thing that I want to talk about real quickly with regards to the classes and the announcements is some of our parents are asking us why we don't have live teaching Connect sessions every day. And the more I learn about the K-12 platform, is that the K-12 platform is not designed for live teaching sessions every day, every period. And the main reason is that the platform contains all of the curriculum, and it contains all of the lessons, all of the assignments, the tests, the quizzes. So the Connect sessions are really designed for teachers to get on with students and answer questions, to help, to teacher or students can go there after they've watched the videos, the instructional videos, or they've tried a lesson and they have questions or they need help with something. That's really what the Connect sessions are designed for. If we had live teaching sessions every day, every period, that's just going to increase the amount of time that students have to spend working on the K-12 assignments, because they would have to work on those outside of class time. So I'm hesitant to require live teaching lessons every day. Now, what I have required is teachers are available during their class time according to the bell schedule. So if a student does have a question, the teacher is available. They can email the teacher. There's ways in there for them to connect to contact the teacher. So teachers are available during their scheduled time, and many of them have set up optional Connect sessions. And so when you see a Connect session that's optional, that's what it's intended for. It's intended for students to drop in to ask questions. So, you know, that, and but I hear you, and believe me, the admin team and the department chairs talk almost daily about what we can do to get more kids engaged. And so it's not something that we're taking lightly. Another thing I wanted to just give information on was last week we had 2 nights on Tuesday and Thursday of last week from 5 to 7, where we had time frames for parents to sign up and come in with their student to get help with K-12, to show what was, how to submit assignments. What does it mean when it says, the assignment was submitted, but it hasn't been graded yet? Just any questions they had about the K-12 platform. We received positive comments about it. Parents asking if we could have more of those. We will be scheduling one a month. So early in November, we will have another one. I'll send out email to our information to our parents and our families about that. So it'll be a time for, if you have, if other concerns come up or there's other glitches that you're experiencing, it's a time you can come in. In the meantime, please do not hesitate to contact myself or Ms. Doomers. If there's an immediate issue, we can certainly help with that. And Ms. Doomers is really good, and we have several staff members that are really good at working over the phone or working by Zoom or trying to help our families with immediate concerns they have. So please do not hesitate to contact us. And we will be having one of those a month for any family or parent or guardian that wants to come in with their student. The last thing before we answer any questions you have is, and like I said, we talk almost daily with the admin team and our department chairs about how we make sure that we are not just accepting the glitches that we have, but what can we do about it? How can we make this so our students are more successful? And believe me, not a day goes by that I don't think about this for long periods of time. Believe me, none of us are here to see students not be successful. So we are looking at some possible changes for how we can make this more successful during the second trimester. And I think we're all learning a lot during the first trimester. So if you have ideas, and again, we've talked about this before, this is what we have. We're going to make it work. The school, our families, our students, our staff all need to work together on this. So if you have suggestions on changes you think we can make, please do not hesitate to call me, email me, contact me if any way you feel like is necessary, and share your ideas. We have some ideas in place. We've talked about, there are schools around the state and around the country that are not having every class every day. It's more like a college schedule where the students might have 3 classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they might have 2 classes on Tuesday and Thursday. So we've thrown around those type of ideas. And one thing we're finding out is our attendance in the Class Connect sessions, our live sessions, attendance is better in the afternoon than it is early in the morning. So, what do we do about that? So, there are a number of things that we're tossing around. So if you have any ideas, please do not hesitate to contact us or contact myself and share your ideas with us. June, is there anything you want to add to anything we've talked about?
No, just that to keep your students encouraged, and if there is a problem with like attendance where you think that the student thinks that they're not getting counted, that they should make sure that they communicate with their teacher, because that is also one of the ways that students can be marked as present, is if they've communicated with their teacher. And that way, if there is a disconnect, it's going to be able to be taken care of, because the teacher will say, hey, did you do this or did you do that? And just make sure that the student understands what they need to do every day. And it is different for Google Classroom versus K-12. So if they're in a Google Classroom class, there's a different procedure they need, because Google Classroom doesn't track it like K-12 does. So the teachers keep track of that by using their own method of accountability, which is usually a Google form or another procedure that they may have of kids signing in. But if they communicate with the teacher, that is the #1 thing. And I've done online learning for a number of years, and that is the biggest indicator of success, is the amount of communication that students and parents have with the teacher. It really makes a difference. So they should not be afraid to contact the teacher, email them, call them on the phone, let them know that they need to make sure that they're counted for attendance, or if they're doing something wrong, or maybe they don't understand what the procedure is. As long as they contact them and straighten it out, I'm sure it'll all work out a lot better.
So June, one of the questions we have is why is the Google Classroom attendance different than the K-12 classroom attendance?
Yeah, Google Classroom is an awesome platform. One of the things that makes it so awesome is it's free. But other than that, it also has some great features, and it has developed a lot over the years. But one of the things that it doesn't have is it doesn't have tracking capability for a teacher to go in and see when a student logged in. The only way to do that is to have them sign in somehow. And that could be either like in a post, in a chat, like a lot of times on Zoom. I don't know if maybe parents have been in Zoom meetings where they take attendance by having people sign into a chat. It's kind of the same idea. The student has to sign in to say that they were there, because if they don't, it doesn't get recorded. It doesn't show the teacher anywhere that student logged in or what time they logged in. The other reason why they need to do that in Google Classroom is because, yes, if they had an assignment that was due every day, some classes don't have an assignment due every single day. And then some students may end up doing assignments late. So going into the class and actually being present in the class is what qualifies for attendance right now. So the only way to do that in Google Classroom is to use like a form or some other method of accountability. In K-12, we have the ability to go in, there's like a master database that's like huge, and it has all this data about student login times, and it keeps track of when your student is online, and it keeps track of where they were when they were online and whether they were actually doing anything while they were online or just like going to a page and leaving it there for an hour. So it has a lot of analytics that come with it. Of course, that's not free. So I think that, you know, that's one of the differences is you have a system that is designed to collect this data, and Google Classroom was used originally more as a supplement, not an entire learning management system, whereas K-12 is designed as a learning management system where it has everything that you need to basically run an online school.
Thanks, Jim. So if you've had your student marked absent, feel free to email me, or you can contact Leslie Davison, our attendance clerk. We'll be happy to correct that. It doesn't matter if it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, it doesn't matter when, we'll get it corrected. Going forward, the attendance should be a lot more accurate. There should be less erroneous robocalls going out because of the system we've put in place and the reports we're able to get from K-12. We are just now able to get those reports. For today was the first one. So going forward, those should be more accurate. We also have a question about what about the students that online learning isn't their best way to learn. I do understand, we all understand that students learn in all different types of ways. Online learning is really hard for a lot of kids. No doubt about it. I've been doing this long enough to know that we've had many kids in the past that have withdrawn from school and said they're going to go to online school because it was going to be easier. They'd be able to spend less time doing school and more time working or whatever it might be. And then in a month, they're back in school because they found out it's not easy. It's not for everybody. I get it, but it is what we have. We have to make this work right now. One of the things we are doing is we know that we have a number of students that have connectivity issues. They cannot get connected. It's not that they can't learn online, it's that they can't even connect online. And we are bringing those students in small groups into school. One small group comes in on Mondays and Wednesdays, and another group comes in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you have connectivity issues, or you know families that do, if you're on here tonight, then you may be okay connectivity if you're watching this, but you may have friends or relatives or people you know that don't have connectivity and can't necessarily watch this. Since the beginning of school, we've been focusing on identifying who those students are, and we certainly can do it by looking at who's not logging in. We get a list every day from one of our district admins of the students that didn't log in, and we are looking at those lists, trying to identify them. The next thing we need to look at is those kids that are struggling. Midterm grades are going to help us with that. Identify. We're going to be able to, hopefully we're working on getting a report that's showing us a correlation between login time and grades. And provided we can get that report, we'll certainly be able to identify those students that are logging in and trying, but it's not necessarily working for them. And then those students that just aren't logging in. I mean, obviously, if you don't log in, your grades aren't going to be very good. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So, but I am interested though, and I do want to see why students are not connected, why they're not engaged. We've been having discussions about how do we get more students engaged. So believe me, we are trying to turn over every stone to figure out how to address all of these issues. And you know as well as I do, there are many issues with our students in online learning. So I want to make sure that our parents understand that we are making every effort to address all of our students and not just a few of our students. We have most of our questions are centering around June, or centering around attendance and why parents may be getting robocalls when they've actually witnessed or seen their students log in. I can tell you that I would give it tomorrow and the next day. Up until today, we didn't have that report that showed us which students logged into K-12. So last week, the attendance was rough. Lots of robocalls went out to parents whose students were actually logged in because we didn't have all the information that we needed. We do have all the information now. So each morning, as I said earlier, those parents will get that, or those teachers will get that report. They will do their attendance before 11 a.m. That gives Ms. Davidson time to run the attendance report before the robocalls go out. So we did see a decline in the number of robocalls that went out today. We had less calls from parents saying that it was incorrect. So it should be more accurate going forward. If, again, no student's going to be penalized for their attendance last week, that, or even the weeks before that, for it being wrong. But if you are concerned about it and you do want it corrected, we will certainly correct it if you contact us.
And can I say something really quick about attendance?
Go ahead.
That I remembered while we were talking, that I want to remind parents that there are also excused absences, just like there always have been in school. So if your student is ill, and now there's a new category, like if they're taking care of another family member that's ill, these can be excused excused absences. And the parent calls into the school just like they normally would and say that my student is ill today. They're not going to be participating in online learning. These are all still relevant and authorized categories. So I think that's another thing to make sure that everybody knows, is that it is regular attendance, just like regular school. The only difference is that we are being more flexible with the school day to account for asynchronous learning. So there's a lot more opportunity for the student to be able to be engaged with the curriculum because they can do it around their own schedule if they really wanted to. So it really allows them more flexibility. I know it's more difficult, and I trust me, I know when you have to type everything out, it takes a little bit longer sometimes, but you can do it on your own schedule. So there are some bonuses to that. But definitely if there's something going on where your student can't participate in learning, that would normally be an excused absence, call it in to the attendance secretary, just like you would any other normal school day.
Thanks, June. And Mr. Kennedy, if you're still with us, I would really like to talk to you. I want to hear from parents that have students that are struggling, and if you would contact me tomorrow, if you want to send me an email and give me a good time and a number to call you at, I will call you tomorrow. I do want to talk to any parent that has a student that might be struggling with this, or any parent that has ideas of what we can do differently. The one thing about this is, this all happened, obviously it didn't happen overnight because it's been, we've been dealing with this pandemic since March, but there was really, over the summer, there was a lot of, talking back and forth with OSPI and state officials and county health about just how to do school. And and that all took time to figure out. And there wasn't a lot of time to prepare once decisions were made by the higher ups at the state level and the county level. And so our teachers are learning this along with the same time as our students are learning it. I know it's no excuse, and I'm not making excuses because it's our job to get it done. But I am asking for our community and our families' help in working with us and giving us suggestions on what they think we can do better. Obviously, the answer isn't we're going to bring everybody back to school next week. That's just not going to happen. And an email went out with from the district and from Dr. Apostle with regards to information from the county health director. And it's going to be a little bit before we can bring kids back in larger numbers. We can bring them back in small numbers though. So we are looking at how we can do that effectively and safely. But I want to talk to any parent that has suggestions and can share information about why our students are struggling. If a student is not logging on and they're just not spending enough time, that obviously is a reason why a student struggles. But if a student is getting on and they are logging in for the appropriate amount of time and are struggling, we gotta work on that. We gotta figure that out. And I'm not gonna stop. I know Ms. Doomer is not gonna stop, and our teachers aren't gonna stop trying to figure that out until this is done. So, Mr. Kennedy, I would love to talk to you. And again, if you would send me an email with a number and a good time to call you, I will call you tomorrow. But I appreciate our community support. I appreciate our families. I appreciate our students. I get emails, you believe it or not, I get emails every day from students asking when they can come back to school. And believe me, I marked it down because I'm going to make note of that, because when they're at school and they wish they could be home, I'm going to remind them of that. I'm going to remind them what they were saying, that they wanted to come back to school. But nobody wants kids back in school more than we do. And so we are going to keep moving forward. And again, if you have friends, family, relatives, neighbors, encourage them to contact us, encourage them to communicate with us. As Ms. Doomer said earlier, one of the leading indicators of success is the amount of contact or interaction students have with teachers. And in this online learning environment, that contact and that communication just looks different. And so we want to encourage everybody to make sure that that their students are advocating for themselves, they're reaching out. I can tell you that, I work, and you all know I worked many years in another district in another state, and I have not seen a group of teachers that are working as hard as this group here is at Shelton High School. I know all of our schools, the teachers are working extremely hard, spending long hours, trying to reach kids, trying to get a hold of kids. And that, I'm glad I just started talking about that, because that brings something to my mind. Many times we don't have updated contact information. We're talking about how we can do that in this environment, and how we can get our kids and our families to update contact information. So if you think we do not have accurate contact information, if you're not receiving my emails, I send out at least once a week, and usually more than that. And then we probably don't have a correct email address or an email address for you. If you're not receiving the robocall, or you're not receiving phone calls from the teachers, then we probably don't have an accurate phone number. So we're going to be having a campaign here, I will call it, in the coming weeks to try to do everything we can to get our parent contact information, our family contact information updated. That we're going to do. Brandy, thank you very much for putting my email on there. My email is B Kipper. So the letter B is in boy, Kipper at sheltonschools.org. And again, I will return your email as quickly as I can. I don't like having a lot of emails in my inbox. It just bugs me. So I usually get on it pretty quickly. If for some reason I don't get back to you within 24 hours, please resend it. It most likely means I missed it or something happened in cyberspace. But I do think it's important that we communicate in a timely fashion with our families. June, is there anything else you want to say before we close? We don't have a lot of questions tonight.
No, just I can't wait to meet all of your students. I know that Bruce feels the same way, so it'll be nice when we do get back. But until then, K-12 I think can be a really good tool for us, and I think that it could be effective if we all work together and be innovative and think of new ways to reach kids and to encourage them in their own learning. And there's a lot of benefits to it. A lot of benefits for online learning, and a lot of experiences that students can have when they're not physically in school. And those are some things that we can work on. And again, like Bruce said, if you have any concerns over your students, please communicate, because that's the best way for us to be able to help you, is to know that there's a problem and to know that you need some help with that, or if you or even that a student needs to be reached out to. Sometimes just calling us. I know I've talked to students on the phone and try and help them with their K-12, and it's so much more of a relief to actually be able to talk to somebody and get your question answered, as opposed to just always doing it by email. So, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone either. Sometimes it's nice to hear a voice instead of having to type all your answers.
One of the things that our staff, we had about 25 staff members that volunteered to work at the 2 parent sessions last week to give K-12 help. And one of the number one feedback I got from our teachers was they just enjoyed sitting down with a real live person and working with a student one-on-one with a family and getting to communicate in person, face-to-face, although, it's social distanced, but, they're still getting to talk to somebody. And our teachers just desperately miss our kids. They miss having the kids in class. And I think one of the things this is telling us, that, and it's one of the lessons I think we're all learning in this environment, is how important classroom teachers are, how important school staff are, how important our families are in our community, working together. And so hopefully what I want most from our kids is we want to build that resiliency in them. And although this is a really tough lesson, I think it can be a valuable lesson if we look at it a certain way, that this is teaching our kids how to become resilient and how to persevere through hardship and when roadblocks are thrown in front of them. This is not easy learning this way. I understand. It's hard to read on a computer. It's hard to read a lot of text or anything in length on a computer. And so we just have to look at it as the lessons that our kids are going to bring out of this, and going forward, the ability to persevere through problems and roadblocks. This is teaching them how to do that. We just have to keep moving forward. If Janet, is it Musser? I think, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. If you would also contact me, I'd like to talk to you with regards to your son and what we can do to help. So if you would send me an email, and and let me know a good time to call you and a good number to call you at. I would like to talk to you and help you with your situation with your son. Okay. It's a little bit shorter night tonight, and I appreciate everybody that's joined us. I appreciate everybody's support that is showing that has supported us and has written the nice comments in the chat section. And believe me, we may have differences of opinions on things, but the one common thing we all have is we're working together for our kids, and we want to make sure that we're doing right for our kids. So I want to wish everybody a great night, and I appreciate you joining us. And we will be on again, not next Monday, but the Monday after that. So we will see everybody later. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.